Tonight, we're going to focus on the ban on open grazing imposed by 17 governors in the southern part of Nigeria and the reactions that's been across the country. Well, the move has received support from a cross-section of Nigerians, across political divides and even across geopolitical boundaries. While some have called for the creation of ranches across the country, others think cattle should be moved in trucks to reduce clashes.
I believe that this should have been done long ago. But my problem with them is they have allowed it to cause so many havoc before coming up with it. There's nothing wrong that cattle are being cowed into a truck and taken to their destination. Yes, it's actually good. It's the modern order. I don't support whether you call it ruga or you call it ranching. But I feel that this is a personal business.
The people have been crying and yearning for their leaders to wake up, because their responsibility is to take care of, to protect lives and property in the region, and to protect their people and their livelihood. Because you can see farmers are no longer going to farm. A lot of things are going wrong. So I think it's a right step in the right direction.
If we do this if we ban this open grazing, and in terms of our beef consumption, we discovered that during the dry season, the northern part of the country is totally dry. What is the solution that is on the table of the government for these headers? There should be a ranching.
We're joined now by the governor of Ondo State, Rotimi, Akeredolu, the one they call Arakure. Mr. Governor, good evening and welcome to Newsnight. So let's start this way. This bipartisan meeting of the Southern governors, how did it come about and what did it take to get all the governors in the southern part of the country together?
Well, I mean, it didn't take anything much. I must say that prior to this time, we had been holding meetings, but it's a long time we had meetings. And we just decided to resuscitate our meetings, and we first held virtual meeting, and all of us gave ourselves time, less than a week, that we all meet physically to discuss these topical national issues. So it did not take much. It's just for more, as I've said, it's just like following up on a meeting that we'll have been holding several times back, but now we have started, and I'm sure that it's going to go ahead.
And of course, the statement that was made after that meeting in Delta State, a lot of reactions have been trailing it, especially the part of the ban on open grazing. Well, it's just a statement as it is right now, but how do you intend to, activate it and get it done?
Well, I mean, what we said at the meeting was very clear, and that in the old southern states of Nigeria, the ban on open grazing, and a number of us have the laws in place, and what we also had to do was to tell our brothers who have not at least passed the laws to go ahead and pass the laws, because we need to work in tandem. We need to work together in respect of a number of issues. There must be interstate and working relationship. And we felt that, look, where you talk about laws on a ban on open grazing, if either any of our states allows it, then those who are grazing in any of those states can move to other states. So, but if all of us generally have said no to open grazing, and I'm happy that we all agreed that we have to go do that, no to open grazing, from there, then we are saying that whatever state, all the states in the south will be protected. All of us have to protect each other so that nobody will move from our state to the neighboring state. So that's what has happened.
Okay, Mr. Governor, help us understand. The request that you have made to the president, are we expecting to see a white paper being sent to the office of the president, or is it supposed to hear from the newspapers, read from the newspapers like everybody, or is there going to be a meeting that the southern governors will have with the president?
Yes, I mean, we cannot send white paper to the president, except that if you are looking at you want to look at the color of the paper on which the letter is typed. That it might be white, it might not be white. But I think our letterhead is white. So, but what we intend doing is that we are going to do a formal letter that all of us will sign, and we'll let Mr. President get this letter. And if we are invited, or at the end of the day, after meeting with our legislators in Abuja, after meeting with them, we all of us reach a consensus, and because that's what probably is happening all over in our respective states. We want the consensus of the elite. So let us also have a consensus. Then we can approach the presidency and meet with the president and discuss with him. But the resolution we passed at Asaba is going to be passed to Mr. President, and we're going to do a letter and forward it to him.
Doing a letter and forwarding to him is one thing, but getting the presidential buying is entirely different, and not just the presidential buying, also that of the National Assembly, especially when you look at the calls that were made for a national dialogue. How do you intend to get this done?
Well, no doubt you have said it all, that getting a presidential buy-in might be some cause for concern. But if 17 of us in the South are governors of the South, I believe that whatever we have said should be given some weight, and that it must be something that has to be considered. That means the presidency will look at it and consider it. 17 governors, that is not, the number is large. I mean, it's more or less like half of us. We are 36, so maybe 2 more. But I know that if we had called our brothers in the Middle Belt, Benue, Plateau, even Kwara, Kogi, they will have signed up to this. So, and I even know that there are some of our brothers, even in the North, that will have signed up to this communique, who also believe that the time has come for us to have this dialogue. And I don't see how Mr. President, I know Mr. President, he gets this, it has to be considered. It must be considered, because the number of governors involved are not ones that you can just push aside. We're not people who want to trivialize things. It's a serious matter of serious concern to us. When we talk about this dialogue, it's a matter of serious concern to us. I'll tell you something. When at the meeting and the issue came up, no matter the debate, there's nothing to hide away from. I mean, came from our brothers who are from the Southeast. And their issue is that, look, ESBN, call it whatever name, you have today, Nnamdi Kanu, who has a radio, is addressing the youth, and they are moving to him in droves. And the point is that he's telling them, look, nobody wants to consider you, nobody wants to sit down, you have been shouting on restructuring, nobody is listening to you. So the time is now. We cannot wait any more minute. We cannot wait, except we attack this issue now. It's in the interest of the nation. So I'm sure that Mr. President will look at it, and his advisors will let him know that, look, we did not just come about this just by, it's not a parlor gossip. It's a matter that came from serious, in-depth discussion of governors.
All right, Mr. Governor, let me push this envelope a little bit further, because we're going to take a break in a few minutes, and then when we come back, we continue the conversation. But before we do that, let me ask you very quickly then, what if the president does exactly what he has done over the last 1 year? Northern elders, southern elders, party politicians, within leaders of APC, leaders of PDP, they've raised all of the issues that you've raised in this resolution, and nothing has happened. What if he refuses to listen to the 17 governors? What next?
What next? I mean, I tell you, I'm one of those strong believer that until we get to the bank, we cannot cross. Just wait and see. I don't want to anticipate and postulate what next. When we get to the bank, we will cross. And I'm sure that Mr. President would not throw away suggestion by 17 governors.
Religious leader has made a statement that said there's got to be a plan B for Nigeria. Are you saying that the governors don't have a plan B?
Who made that statement?
Religious leader has gone viral. That Nigeria's got to have a plan B. There's got to be something we do.
Paul Adefarasi.
Yes.
I'm told he says so. Whatever it is, I mean, he's talking from the pulpit. We are talking as politicians. We are talking about leaders of our people. And we are saying that, look, we know that Mr. President will listen to us. So there's no need for us to now jump and say, what are plan B? Even if with all our plans, we still keep it close to our chest. It's not a matter for public consumption now. We will have plans, and I'm sure Mr. President, I believe Mr. President will listen to us. Let me say I'm sure, but I believe Mr. President will listen and at least address all these issues now. A number of them have been floating around. I agree with you. A number of them has come from. There's nothing that is so new in what we have said. Seriously, a number of what has happened over and over. I always say to people, we have had discussions in this country. There's nothing new that we are saying. These are matters that have been repeated over and over. But now it is now being said by us collectively. Okay. It means a lot. Right. And our brothers in the legislature, in the Senate, in the National Assembly.
Mr. Governor, permit me to cut in here. Well, you're still with us because there's still so much to really look at tonight. Well, let's head for this quick break. And of course, the conversation with the governor of Ondo State continues when we return.
Welcome back to Newsnight, and we still have with us Akeredolu, the governor of Ondo State, and who's the spokesperson for the southern governors because of the meeting they had yesterday. Now, Mr. Governor, let's come back to this issue in terms of what you're planning next. If for any reason things become partisan, what options do you have to drive the agenda of southern governors? For example, if the northern governors decide that they're not interested in most of the agenda that you're raising, they don't want restructuring, they don't want banning of grazing and things like that, where do you go from there?
Now, one thing I can say is that if northern governors ever go the line you have spoken, I know their ranks and file will be broken. We have a number of these governors who support our position. Even those of them, I give an example of the governor of Kano. You must have listened to him over and over. He is vehement on open grazing. He believes that he's against open grazing, and he says that it is not in the interest. He's a Fulani man. He's argued that it's not in the interest of his own people to continue this mode of animal husbandry in this age and time. That is not in their interest. It's not in the interest of the economy. That's why he came out and said, look, I have enough land for grazing. And we say that, look, federal government under the NLTP should support any state. It's part of our resolution. Any states who want to do ranching, support them so that people can keep these cows or these herds there, and you can go and buy from there and come transport, haul them by trucks or come in trains. I remember in those days we used to see them in the train. So haul them by any means and bring them where they will buy and go and slaughter. So I know that they cannot. We are talking about northern governors. That's where Benue is from. That's where Plateau is from. We still have even Kogi. We have Kwara. There's no way they can be united against this sort of position because everybody is suffering from this open grazing. All of us are. It's just that, yes, we know that those who are the herders, we know them, but that is not to say that it's not better, it's even better for their life, as we have suggested, that modern systems of animal husbandry be adopted and supported by the federal government. It's in their interest. will something be on your interest and you be against it? I'm not too sure they'll be against it. You mentioned the issue of restructuring. There will be also division in their rank and file, because a number of them believe that there must be restructuring. Today, I know of a number of my colleagues who are governors in the north who also believe that there must be state police. There have been danger all over the country, because we cannot afford to continue with one command. Everybody is talking about multi-level policing, and all of us are agreed. So there's no way that will be part of restructuring. So I believe that there are a number of areas in which there is consensus among us.
Right. A consensus is always good, but at the end of the day, beyond what you're asking from both the National Assembly and the presidency, let's talk about what other parts of the plans or the decisions that were made yesterday can be activated immediately by at least all 17 governors.
Well, I mean, a number of very few anyway, but a number of them, what I'm saying is that a number of those decisions are going to be activated by the 17 governors that met, and all of us are going to go back to our various states to work on our decisions. But I know that majorly, a number of them are the most important. Everything is important, I know that, but the most important are the ones that will need the support of the National Assembly, that will also want to have a consensus. I will hold meetings with our brothers in the north. That will be a consensus for us to now come up, as I said, consensus of the elite. If we are governors, we are taken to be elite of the society, and I believe that if we can come together, we should be able to at least stem this, the tendency of this insecurity that we are facing in the country today. The challenge is clear. It's glaring to even the blind man. We can see that we have some problem that needs urgent solution, and that's why I believe that all of us will work at it immediately.
So, Mr. Governor, let's take a few steps forward. Now, in terms of the national dialogue that you're proposing, that is the Southern governors, is it expected to be a repeat of the 2014 confab? And if it is, why do we need a repeat? Because the one that was done before, we spent a lot of money to make it happen, and it's gathering dust in the office of somebody near the president.
Well, I can assure you, it appears you were probably at a meeting, and this was discussed. Look, as you expect, a number of us will take up, a number of our colleagues took up this issue, and we felt, as I said earlier on, there's nothing we are saying now that is new. And the issue was, we made a point that, look, there are so many conferences on discussion on restructuring, discussion on our constitution. There are so many papers that exist today. We are saying we must have national dialogue in which it's not going to be a jamboree. It's going to be where you have the ethnic nationality, a number of every other person there, and we have to just take all these papers, put together, and sift it and see the ones we need now to move on. That, I mean, when we talk about revenue allocation, it's been debated over and over. We need to have that one in place. I think all of us are agreed. I'm not too sure that any state today in the country that will say that the federal government should continue to have the amount of money they are having and the state are suffering. So everybody, that's why I said to you that even our brothers in the north, all of us will be agreed, because the issue of formula, a revenue formula allocation is one in which all of us are agreed that too much money in the central, and it should go to the state so that a number of projects, a number of programs we have to execute, we're able to execute it. And if we are asking for state police, as we are all demanding, all of us now are agreed. Most of us are agreed. Don't use the word all of us. Then, how do we run a state police? Not with this meager money that we are receiving today. We need to have a revenue formula that will at least enable the state to have sufficient financial independence to run their own state police. So I'm sure that all of us will come together to discuss it. But we are not saying we'll repeat what happened in 2014, repeat what we have been doing. But in a way, all the discussions, all the conclusions. That's what we want to take together and work at National Dialogue.
I would say the IGR from the state needs improvements instead of just depending from monies being given from the center. But beyond all of that, let's go back to your previous decision on open grazing. And of course, you're concerned about criminal elements in the forest. Well, do you feel that the rest of the country is now coming to terms with your raising of the alarm and in a subtle way agreeing with your decision then? Do you feel vindicated?
Oh, personally.
Yes,
Yes, on those stage, you did come up with the ban on open grazing, especially in the forest reserves areas. And of course, we saw all the controversies that came with.
When we made that point some few months ago, it is true. But it's not an issue of vindication. Let me not use that word. I don't want anybody to feel that, look, hey, maybe his own agenda. It's not my agenda. Every other person believes in it. And all I believe is that it came a bit late, but this time it has come. When it has come, let us take it that way. All of us are now agreed. It's not my own agenda. All I know is that I have listened, as I mentioned, I've listened to my colleagues. Look, the economy of a Fulani man, a Fulani art man, we must look at it. The only way to boost their own economy is to change this system of animal husbandry. It cannot be us taking the herds from Kara and Amuda by foot to Port Harcourt. It's not going to work. It's no longer, it is totally archaic, and I believe that
absolutely we have to move forward from the way things were done back in the day. Would have to say thank you so much, Governor of Ondo State Rotimi Akeredolu, for joining us tonight on the program.